Hello, welcome back to this podcast celebrating the 10th anniversary of the International Society for Managing and Technical Editors. This is the second in a series of 3 podcasts with the founding president, Dr. Jason Roberts. And I am Kristen Overstreet, a past president and member of the founding board of directors. Jason, we've been talking about your memories and vision for the ISMTE. Where would you like the society to be, or what would you like the society to have achieved in another 10 years' time?
So I think there's a couple of things that ISMT can carry on the path that it's been heading for a while, and that will be, the mission of professionalizing what we do. There's been talk in the past about, do you create some sort of certification or certificate? They're actually 2 different things, I guess, but put something out there that people could establish. These are the standards that we need to achieve professionally, and so and then through that they can learn how to run their journals better. But also that they themselves can then market, themselves to publishers, to journals, to companies that offer editorial office services. And there really is nothing at the moment. We've come a long way in 10 years because it was very much an amateur profession when we started. The old stereotype was that it was the rather sexist way. It was the old editor's wife that would be the managing editor. It's quite ironic, really, that I took over from an editor's wife in the very first editorial office job I did, and the second job I ever did, I worked with the editor's wife. But I think those days have gradually disappeared. So there needs to be a path towards achieving the highest level of professionalism possible and having some recognition for that. And ISMT obviously is going to be critical in that, whether it's just them or whether it's other organisations that get involved as well, or working alongside publishers, I don't know. I think the next important thing that ISMT needs to address over the next few years will be having a greater say in the implementation of policies and protocols that come on down from on high, be it from academia, be it from publishers. It could be a new ethics thing that we all have to be cognizant of, and that too often these things they appear. We're all expected to take them into account, but there's been no thought into the actual deployment of these guidelines or policies. And that can frequently undo what is a very good intention initially. And so, I hate to say it, but too often peer review managers, editorial office professionals aren't actually consulted in these things. And that, I think that's a shame. And I'd like to see that there is greater recognition and, through ISMT that we have an important role to play. I think a third thing is that ISMT can carry on and develop even better resources on best practice and make those data driven as well, so that they're not just here's a bunch of people that have been doing the job for a few years, we sat around a table and this is what we came up with, but actually have evidence to back up some of the assertions that we make. Now, of course, the problem is that journals are so utterly diverse. It really is hard to compare an art history journal to a rapid turnaround physics journal or a clinical medical title. But there are some commonalities, and certainly in communication and how you communicate with authors. Most authors want the same thing at the end of the day. So I think there's a lot of work that can be done there, and we need to do it smartly. I'd like to see that there be more studies done, trials or whatever, of if we implement this practice, that it will lead to this improvement. And that we actually do this properly, that we don't just do a rather amateur effort of doing a pre and post analysis on something. So I think those are 3 things that the society has probably got in its sights for the next few years. And obviously, I just want the society to continue to foster this amazing collaborative forum that it provides. And who knows, maybe one day we'll be able to have a World Congress on peer review management or something like that, or just a chance for all of us to get together. I've been very privileged to be able to go to meetings in Europe, in Asia, and in North America. But so I get to see that sometimes people do approach these things rather differently, and it'd be great if we could all get together one day.
Where do you see yourself in another 10 years' time?
Well, me personally, first of all, I hope to goodness I'm still not collecting forms in another 10 years. I I still have to do that for one or two publishers. But joking aside, I think I personally would like to get more involved in data modeling to see if we can collectively improve our performance, internally managing editorial offices, that is, but also looking at what can we do through our practices that could help improve peer review quality. And on top of all of that is what can we do to better educate all stakeholders, so we don't have editors that are just imposing their will without, arbitrarily, without understanding that we have data that can show you that, in fact, if you do the opposite, you're going to achieve the results that you want. I want to get involved in that more. I also feel that I've been taking more of an interest in the academic conversations, and this is 2017, and there's going to be another International Peer Review Congress this year, and I'm fascinated in the idea of taking some of those academic ideas and distilling them, because some of them are very high level, and I can claim to understand a lot of the statistics I see in here, but distilling that into a more digestible message, and then thinking, well, okay, what does that actually mean for our practice in the editorial office? What can we do to improve based on that research, or what can we do to help implement what these folks have been researching? I mean, reporting guidelines is a classic one where we got involved in understanding that conversation, how to improve reporting at biomedical journals, and what can we do to actually now make that happen at the journals we manage. I'm lucky I'm on the editorial board for Research Integrity and Peer Review, which is a biomed central journal. And I think that's going to be a great forum for that sort of discussion, where we take academic conversation and convert it into practice afterwards. So anyway, that's what I think will be happening over the next few years. I don't think I'm the only person that's interested in this kind of stuff. Let's play with data a bit more. We've got an unbelievable amount of data that's just not being tapped right now, and I'm fascinated in exploring that more. Who knows? Maybe we'll be doing things like predictive modelling in a few years, and we'll be able to anticipate situations before they happen. Maybe we'll be able to detect things patterns that are just impossible to note with the masses of papers that we deal with, and that could lead to greater efficiencies. So anyway, that's maybe the future. We shall see.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about before we wrap this up?
Well, just an observation really on the most incredible things about ISMTE is that it can be at one point global, but another point local. And we have our international meetings every year. We have those on 3 continents, but at the same time that we have these local groups where there are little geographic clusters. People tend to they get a chance to get together. They can talk about these issues. That might be their own chance to communicate with members if they can't afford to go to travel to the big meetings. They're great networking opportunities. Also sometimes you might be able to find somebody who can help you out with a particular issue. And I know that there's a bunch in North America. That's where they started initially, in the Boston area, Chicagoland, North Carolina, in the Research Triangle area. New York, I know it's expanded beyond that now, and you can find them in Australia, there's Russia, in Asia, there's Tokyo, Japan, there's Kathmandu, Nepal, and I know there's a group in Germany as well. I think that's in the Heidelberg area. So they're scattered far and wide now, and I think that's a wonderful thing, that a forum that ISMT can provide. And in some ways, our focus initially was very much about virtual connections, and ISMT was quite an early adopter of social media and really using the web page smartly to connect members, because we knew that we weren't going to have a membership that was going to be able to travel easily. And I don't think we ever anticipated these local groups taking off the way they did. So that's been a tremendous success, and anyone that's listening that's thinking, well, there's bound to be other people like me in this neck of the woods, and you can't find a local group. There is a web page for this on the ISMT website. Think about setting one up. There is actually guidance on how to do that, I believe, and it's not that difficult to do. I guess I should probably set one up here in the Ottawa, Canada area where I'm based these days.
Thank you, Jason, again for your time and doing this. It's been a lot of fun to talk to you about your memories of launching the Society 10 years ago and your vision for the future.
Well, thank you. I've enjoyed this opportunity.